Hello everybody and welcome back to another C++ program exercise video, and in today's video we're going to be going over C++ program exercise number 12. Now C++ program exercise number 12 says, some of the characteristics of a book are the title, authors, publishers, ISBN, price, year of publication. Design a class book type that defines the book as an abstract data type. Each object of the class book type can hold the following information about a book: title, up to 4 authors, publisher, ISBN, price, number of copies in stock, and to keep track of the number of authors, add another member variable. And also, include the member functions to perform the various operations on the objects of type book type. For example, the usual operations that can be performed on the title are to show the title, set the title, and check whether the title is the same as the actual title of a book. Similarly, the typical operations that can be performed on the number of copies in stock are to show the number of copies in stock, set the number of copies in stock, and update the number of copies in stock, and return the number of copies in stock. Add similar operations for the publisher, ISBN, book price, and authors. Add the appropriate constructors and deconstructor if one is needed. And B, write the definitions of the member functions of class book type. And C, write a program that uses the class book type and tests various operations on the objects of class book type. Declare an array of 100 components of type book type. Some of the operations that you should perform are to search for a book by its title, search by its ISBN, and update the number of copies in a book. Okay, so now here are some of the functions that we're going to have to implement, right? We're having our set functions, right? We're having our get functions, we're having our is functions, which is basically just going to be comparing two variables to each other, and we're having our print functions, show the quantity, update quantity, pretty simple stuff. And we also have our variables at the bottom down here that we're going to be using. Okay, so anyways, let's get started with implementing this program. Okay, so let's get started. So now, here, we're going to be starting with our beginning constructor. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to make a variable called int I. Right? And this I is going to be what we're going to use to control our for loops. Now we also need to declare the book title as the title, and we also need to declare the book published year as the published year. And the number of authors will be equal to the author count. Now in order to set the authors, we need to write in this for loop right here. For int I is equal to 0, I is less than number of authors, I plus plus, authors with index of I is equal to the authors of index of I. And we do that until either all of the spaces are filled up, or we actually just do that until I is less than or is greater than or equal to the number of authors. And then the price will be equal to the cost, and the quantity will be equal to the copies. So there we have our set book info function. Now the next thing that we need to do is we need to come down here and also fill in the constructor, the default constructor. So all we need to do is copy and paste this whole thing, but this will just be an empty string. This will be an empty string. This will be an empty string. This will by default be 1900 because that's going to be the minimum, and number of authors will be automatically go to 0. And this is going to be 0, and it's going to be 0. And this, of course, will be equal to an empty string. There we have it. Let's go up. Now we can get to our set functions. So first of all, for set book title, all we need to do is write in book title is equal to S. For set book ISBN, all we need to do is write in book ISBN is equal to S. For set book price, price will be equal to cost. For set copies in stock, all we need to do is write in quantity is equal to number of copies. Next, we have print info. Now, print info is going to be very simple. All we need to do is, of course, since we're also going to be using another for loop in this case, we're going to write an int I at the top. Then we're going to write in cout title, book title, and down. And then cout ISBN, book ISBN, cout publisher, book publisher. And then we have to cout the year of publication. And then we have to cout number of authors. And then we have to cout the authors, and then we're going to write in our for loop that we're going to use to print out the number of authors. And then at the end, we just cout and down. And then we cout price, and then we cout quantities in stock. And now we have to come down to the is functions. So first we have is ISBN. So now the first thing that we need to do is it's actually pretty simple. All we need to do is we just return the boolean. We turn book ISBN is equal to S into a boolean operator, and we print that out, and we return that out. And then we need to do the same thing with the book title. And we need to do the same thing with the is author, except we're going to use the except we're going to use a function that we've gone over in previous chapters. We're going to be using the find and return function. Basically, it's a loop. It's a standard for loop, and inside of that for loop, we're going to test every single index, and inside of those indexes we're going to see if the author's index is equal to S, and we're going to check if it is equal to S, then found will be equal to true, and then we break. And if at the end of this whole function we found, and then we just return found at the end of this whole function. And for get book type, get book ISBN, it's fairly simple. We just write in S is equal to book title. S is equal to book ISBN. Also, if you wanted, you can just make this a return function, but in this case, we're not going to be making it a return function. Now, the next thing we have to do is we need to return price. And then we have to return quantity. After doing that, for get book price and is in stock, we need to do make sale. Now, when we make a sale, all we're going to do is subtract 1 from the quantity because we just made a sale and one less book is inside of the store. Now, for print book price, all we need to do is print out the price of the book individually. For print book title, we do the same thing. And for print book title and ISBN, because usually you'll want to print the ISBN and the book title all at once. So here we have it. And next we have to show quantity in stock. And we're going to see out the quantity. And for update quantity, all we're going to do is write in quantity is equal to quantity plus add books. And that's it for the member functions of booktype implementation.cpp. Next, we move on to main.cpp to write our program. Now we are inside of main.cpp. Now, inside main.cpp, we're actually going to make a couple of our own functions, and these functions are going to be useful, necessary, in order for us to make our program. Also, in this case, we're actually going to be reading a notepad file in order to make this program run. So make sure you have your own notepad file, but I'll explain how this will work in a second once we're done with this program. Okay. Well, actually, let me just explain it now. So first of all, the first number up here will be 5, and that will be the number of books. The next line will be the title of a book, and the next line will be the ISBN of a book, and the next line will be the publisher of a book. The next line will be the published year, the cost, the copies, and the author count. And then finally, we get the authors. Okay? And that's it for this is one whole little book. And then we have 5 of those books. Okay? So, we are done with, that's just how it's going to work. That's the whole setup of our program and what file we're going to be reading. Anyways, let's go. So, the first thing that we want to do is we want to write and declare our member functions. Okay? So, what we first want to do is we want to come down here to get book data, and we want to write in all of these variables. These are variables that we're going to be using, and they're going to be stored as some of our variables that we're going to have to show to the reader. Okay? Now these variables are going to be basically the ones that we have here in booktype.h. And we also need to have 2 constant variables. Not 2 constant, 2 counter variables. And we're going to have our in-file variable and our character variable. Now character will basically be the number of books variable. Okay? So anyways, let's get going. So now that we have all our variables down, we have to write in file .open, and we're just going to open whatever file is our input file. Mine is bookdata.txt. And now if Notepad, if our program was not able to open up our file, then this is what we're going to do. We are going to just write in the standard thing that we always do. If we cannot open the input file, we write in cannot open up the input file, exit the program. So let's get going. And now the next thing that we need to do is we need to take in as input the number of books and ch. Okay, now ch is just going to be the placeholder variable for the new line character. Okay, and number of books is of course going to be the number of books. Okay, so now the next thing that we need to do is we need to write our for loop. Now this for loop, let's see here, is going to be controlling our whole input, taking as input everything inside of our input file. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get the first 3 lines, and those first 3 lines will have the title, ISBN, and the publisher. Using the getLine function, it makes it very simple to do that. Okay, the next thing that we have to do is we're going to then take in as input the next 4 variables, or the next 4 terms, and then we are going to take in as input the ch character, because now we're going to be getting the lines, and now we need to reset it and get to the next line and take in as input the new line character from the end of our line that will be left over at the end of this right here. So anyways, now we need to make our for loop using the counter j in order to take as input all of the authors. Next, we're going to use the setBookInfo function in order to set all of the info that we've just collected. Now we can move on to the next function. Now we're going to print the book data. And now first we're going to have to declare the constant I. And then we're going to write in for I is equal to 0, I is less than number of books, I plus plus, we're going to write in books. We're going to write in books with index I, print the info of those books, and then we're going to have it like that. Okay, that's the end of this print book data function. Pretty simple, of course. Now we have to go on to search book data, which is going to be just a normal searching function that we've already gone over before. So first we need to declare our variables at the top, and those variables are going to be int I and location -1. So first we need to write in our for loop header, and under this for loop header we're going to write in the standard if statement, and the if statement is going to be if books with index I dot ISBN, and if you plug in the ISBN that we have is equal, if this function returns true, then we will change the location to the current I and then break, and that will be it, since this is a void function. Now the next thing that we need to do is search the book data by the title. which is also going to be fairly simple. We're going to have another one of these search loops at the top, except this time we're going to be plugging in isTitle inside of the loop. So we're going to have something like this instead, and then inside we're going to make a location equal to I, and then we break. And that's it. And now for void search. I accidentally put this right there. Now we need to do search book data. Now for search book data, we're basically going to be doing our own little thing, and it's going to be taking the user's input rather than from the file and trying to check out the whole. We're basically taking the user's direct input rather than just the file input in order to search for books. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to write in int choice and char ch and int location. And we're also going to have to declare a string variable called string. And now the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to print out a submenu. And this submenu is going to be this one right here, right? And now this submenu is basically going to give them some options, and we're going to, of course, take that choice as input, and then after taking that choice as input, we're going to go to the next line, and then we're going to have a switch statement using choice as our decision maker. And now, as case 1, we're going to search for it by the ISBN of the book. So we're going to have case 1, enter the ISBN of the book. Next, we're going to get the line CIN with string, and then we're going to search the book data by the ISBN using books, book count, string, and location. Now, if at the end of search book data by ISBN, location is not equal to -1, then we write in the store sells this book, else the store does not sell this book. Now we need to do the same thing for searching by the title. So everything is going to be the exact same. Oh, and also don't forget that to break at the end of this whole thing. Now the rest will be basically the exact same, except for it being by entering the title of the book, and then you're gonna get your answer. Sort of like this. Search data by title, and it's the exact same thing. See? And now the default output will basically be just cout invalid choice. Also, it would be a good idea to do all of this in order to get the spacing all right. Okay, now of course, as I said, the default will be invalid choice. Okay, And now we need to do these two functions, which is going to be show menu and submenu, and also update copies in stock. Now, update copies in stock is also going to be pretty simple. First, we're going to have int choice, int location, and int count, and another char variable, another ch placeholder variable, and we're also going to have to write in string str. After you write in that, next you have to write in this little block of code, which is the submenu function. And now after that, we write in case 1, and then we cout, enter the ISBN of the book, and then we get the line. But first we also need to make the switch statement, of course. And then we search the book data by the ISBN. And now if the location is not equal to 1, then we execute this block of code right here. We execute, enter the number of books, and we update the quantity. Else, we need to write in cout, the store does not sell this book, and then we break. And we need to do basically the same thing for case 2, except we need to replace everything with with searching by the title of the book. Okay? So all that changes is this little piece right here. Okay? There we go. Anyways, now all we need to do is make the default invalid choice. And then we finish this off by making sure that our thing right there is all complete. And it is. So now we need to go on to show menu. Now show menu is very simple. All we need to do is write in a couple of our options, right? So show menu is basically going to be like this. It's going to make a selection, enter the number, and press enter. And this is going to be what's going to show. For submenu, all we need to do is cout, enter 1 to search the book by ISBN, and 2 to search the book by title. Simple. Now we need to move on to the main.cpp. Main.cpp should not be very difficult. All we're going to do is execute these functions right here, but using our show menu function, and using a show menu function, and we're just going to turn our functions into a menu-oriented program. So the first thing that we do is we declare 4 variables. One of them is going to be the book type, and the amount of books that we can have is 100. And then we're going to have int number of books is going to be by default 0, and then int choice, and then int I. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get the book data right off the bat in order to initialize what we need. So once we get book data, then we need to show the menu, and then we take in as input the choice. After we do that, we need to start up our switch statement. But first, we're going to use a while loop to control that switch statement, of course. Because we're going to be doing this multiple times. So now inside that switch statement, we're going to make a switch statement out of choice. Okay? And now the first case is going to be for the number of books. But anyways, first let's add in case 1. Or we just do it the entire thing off of case 1. Anyways, so case 1, we're going to write in for I is equal to 0. We're going to, and I is less than the number of books, and I plus plus. And then books with index I dot print book title. So now you can come down here and look at what that says on the menu. And it basically says print a list of the books. Next, what we want to do is also, I think it would be a good idea to have this switch gone back a little bit. Looks kind of weird being so up front. Okay, anyways, now we can move on to case number 2. Oh, and also at the end of here, we're gonna see out end out. And then of course we're in a break. Okay, now for case 2, all we're going to do is we're going to, if you look at what case 2 has to say, come down here. Case 2, print a list of books and ISBN numbers. Okay, so we come here to the top, and we basically do the same thing, but, for like that, and there we go. And then we see out end L, and then we break, of course. And then case 3 is going to be searching for the book data. Case 4 will be updating the copies in stock. And then case 5 will be printing the book data. And when they mean printing the book data, they mean printing all of the book data. And we set the default as invalid selection. And then at the end of this while loop, we show menu and then we CIN the choice. And there we go. Now from there, that should basically be the end of our program. Let's try and run it. Obviously, there has to be some sort of error. So let me just take this out. I think that was supposed to be just blank. There we go. Okay. So now this works. Print a list of the books. C++ fuzzy discrete vehicles. And there we go. That works pretty well. Print a list of the books and the ISBN numbers. There we go. There we go. There we go. 3, see if a book is in store, and let's check. I'm going to be using 517-525-281-3, which is going to be the ISBN number of this one right there. I'm going to search by the ISBN, and there's the ISBN of the book. The store does sell this book, and make a selection, enter the number, and press enter. And we try 5, and we see all of this stuff. So we can see that our program works very well based on our Notepad++ file. See? So now I hope you all had a great time doing this C++ programming exercise video, and I hope you continue to have fun doing programs like this in the future. I hope you guys have a good time, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!